Stefania ran as fast as she could down the street of her provincial town. She must not miss the demon. She would find him and talk to him. He could not just disappear from her life like that just when she realized how much she missed him. It all started recently when Stephanie turned 17. She invited all her friends and classmates to her birthday party. Only one of them was left without her invitation, Demon. In fact, it was a nickname the boy got for his irrepressible temper. The guy's name was Alex. He was Stefania's classmate and her tormentor. Over the years of being in the same class as him at school, Stefania had suffered everything from taunts to hair-pulling and pushing in physical education class. He just couldn't stand the shy girl who just didn't pay any attention to him. Stefania was infatuated with a boy from the parallel class and did not notice any other guys except him. The girl dreamed that one day that guy would find her prettier than her classmates and invite her to the prom. And then she would show everyone how beautiful and intelligent she really is. Everyone recognized Stefania was smart. People could not understand why she was daydreaming, thinking the attractive guy from the other class would note her. Everyone knew that he could have been better with brains. He was an ordinary student. Still, all his interests were focused on his achievements in sports because that was the only thing that could help him get into college, not a high score in his studies. So, because he was handsome, he had no shortage of groupies for his looks and athletic accomplishments. So everyone knew that a quiet girl like Stefania had no business being around him. Well, what about Demon, or Alex? He was mediocre in his studies and tried to dodge classes and spend more time with friends who also liked sports cars. He also tuned much their old cars and improving their appearance and engine quality. Stefania had long thought of Demon as a featherweight who could do nothing but annoy her with his nags, and taunts and roll around in his old car. Her handsome boy had a new car, given to him by his wealthy parents. But somehow, Demon found out about her birthday and attended the party. He entered the house, decorated with ribbons and balloons, and stood on the threshold, holding a modest rose. Demon looked unusually embarrassed as he looked around the house, looking for the birthday girl. Stephanie had no choice but to approach him and, smiling a little strained, listen to his confused congratulations. Then she got rid of the uninvited guest by showing him where his friends were seated. Seeing that her foe had found suitable company, Stephanie sighed with relief. Finally, she had fulfilled her duty as a welcoming hostess. She could now enjoy the company of her friends and, of course, the handsome man from the neighboring class, whom she had also invited to her birthday party. However, the handsome man did not notice her and was having fun with some recognized beauties from their class. Suddenly, shouts of, "Hurry, come here," were heard from the garden, and all her guests ran out of the house into the garden, dropping their activities. There, under the kennel of her beloved dog, a snake was curled up in a ball. The poor dog sat in the kennel whimpering. He knew this guest was not to be trifled with, for it was one of the most venomous snakes in their neighborhood. The boys and girls surrounded the kennel, and no one dared to do anything to keep the snake away from the poor animal. There were no adults in the house because Stefania's parents had left the place entirely at the disposal of the youth for that evening, and had gone to visit friends nearby. The snake hissed, its rattlesnake tail raised threateningly, and it might pounce, either on the poor animal trapped in its kennel or on some of the surrounding people. Stefania exclaimed, "Let's call the 911. But before she could do anything, Demon appeared in front of the booth with a horny stick in his fart. He had found a branch somewhere and made a long-handled slingshot out of it. Then, in one precise movement, Demon pressed the snake's body firmly to the ground and held it in that position. Everyone around him gasped at how quickly and decisively he acted. And Demon stood beside the snake, which wriggled but could not escape from such a trap. The guy, however, was careful and concentrated on ensuring the formidable captive did not slip out of his slingshot. After a while, the police and experienced poisonous snake catchers arrived. The snake was taken from Stephanie's yard to the local serpentarium. It did not need to be killed, as it had harmed no one. Still, it was simply put in an uncomfortable situation for itself and its world. When the incident ended safely, Stefania hugged her beloved dog. And then suddenly, it came to the girl that she had not noticed among those gathered around the dog and the snake, a handsome man from the parallel class. So the girl looked in the direction where he was before the incident with the snake. But, unfortunately, the handsome man was still cheerfully hugging those girls. So he did not notice that Stefanie and her beloved dog were in danger of something terrible. There was a feeling of disappointment in Stefania's soul. How could it be that this rude demon had saved her pet, and the handsome conqueror of girls' hearts did not even pay attention to what was happening around him? Or did he pretend not to notice anything? But that is impossible, so much noise was made by the incident among the guests. So then he had simply chickened out. Stefania rose from her knees, and once again stroking the dog, looked for Demon. She had him to thank even if she could not stand him, for he had done a courageous thing. After going around the house and not finding Demon, Stefania suddenly saw that he was just leaving the yard of her home and getting into his old car. The girl suddenly felt a sharp sting of guilt. She ran out into the street and ran to the open window of her friend's car before his car moved. Stefania grasped the edge of his car door with both hands, leaned into the window opening, and peered in. The demon was sitting in the driver's seat, leaning back helplessly. It was apparent that what he had done was stressful for him. There was a look of fatigue on the guy's face. Stefania had never seen such an expression on Demon's face. She whispered, "Alex, thank you for what you did, you saved my dog. I'm very grateful to you."
The young man straightened up in the car seat and tried to give his answer a touch of nonchalance. "That's okay, anyone can do that. There's nothing to thank me for," but Stefania had yet to tell him everything. She continued, "No, not everyone." A picture flashed through her mind of how busy the handsome man was with his life, while everyone was trying to save the poor dog. Stefania continued in an already more confident voice, "And I'm sorry I didn't invite you to my birthday party. I just..." She hesitated, not knowing how now, after what he had done for her, to explain the reason for her decision. Alex replied, looking her straight in the eye. "It's okay, I understand. I came because I just wanted to congratulate you." Stefania suddenly felt embarrassed, and redness flooded her face. She looked away from his eyes, which suddenly seemed as deep as two dark lakes, answering, "Nothing, thank you anyway. And you can come to our parties whenever you want. Do you know my friends like to get together at my place? You should come too." Alex stared at her with undisguised surprise, not saying a word. Then he answered, clearly satisfied, "All right, I'll come. Thank you. Well, now I have to go. My grandfather is waiting for me. He needs more help lately." Stefania looked at Alex in surprise. She did not know he was helping his grandfather. She knew little about her classmate and thought he was a bully. And he was an ordinary guy, just somehow very critical of her. The girl took her hands off the car door and replied with a smile, "Of course I understand. I didn't know you had things to do. Come back whenever you want. Bye." She thought when she said this, Alex had a strange expression on his face that she had never seen before, boyishly joyful and surprised. Stefania noted how unexpectedly pleasant it was for her to look at him. It turned out that Demon had an open look, a kind smile, and beautiful dark eyes that were almost impossible to take your eyes off of. The girl moved away from the car. Alex drove away, pushing the gas pedal so hard that a column of dust shot up behind his car. But now Stefania was no longer embarrassed because everyone thought he was a bully. Instead, she saw her recent bully as a brave and kind soul. A couple of weeks passed. Alex was not at school and hadn't visited her house once. But the handsome boy from the parallel school suddenly showed an interest in Stefania, inviting her to a party with his friends, and then offering to spend time alone. Stefania refused to spend time with him. She remembered well how this handsome man, whom she had admired so much recently, had shown himself when it was necessary to act, not to cuddle with the girls. She blew off an unexpected suitor who had become uninteresting to her, and the most offensive thing for him was that everyone around her found out about it. In the meantime, Stefania decided to find Alex. She got his address from her friends. A couple more days passed, and on another Sunday morning, the girl felt she just had to see Alex. Eventually, the girl decided and went straight to his house. Stefania hesitantly knocked on the door of a cozy little cottage. An attractive middle-aged woman opened it for her. It must have been Alex's mother. The woman wondered who the uninvited guest was looking for. The girl replied she was looking for Alex, and that they needed to talk urgently. The woman replied, "Ah, then you've come at a very good time. Alex is just leaving. He's applied to college and got an invitation to an interview. If it goes well, he can immediately continue his studies there, in town X." That city was so far away from their little town. Stefania suddenly asked in a trembling voice, "Will you call him? I really need to talk to him." The woman did not have time to answer before Alex appeared behind her. He wore a clean sports shirt, jeans, and fancy sneakers. It was noticeable that his family had made him dress up. This was not his usual look. Stefania lowered her gaze, embarrassed. But then pulled herself together and said, "Hi." "Hi," replied Alex, looking at her with surprise and adoration. Stefania looked at him for the first time. She noted how attractive he was. Demon had strong shoulders, a slender athletic figure, and kind eyes. How has she not noticed all this before? The girl stepped back from the front door, and Alex followed her down the stairs at their front door. The woman, still standing on the threshold of the house, realized that the young people needed to be alone and went back in, glancing at Stefania once more with interest as she said goodbye. Alex was the first to break the silence that had hung between the young people. "I'm sorry, my mother isn't used to having girls. Yeah, I guess she already told you I'm going to college. And I'll probably stay there as soon as I get my test results. I'm sure I'll get that place. I've been preparing for it so much, after all." "Yes, I know," Stefania replied, tears glistening. They were tears of despair because she had just realized how much she would miss her demon. She would be alone here without his jokes and amusing antics. She would no longer see him or feel he might take her by the hand and lead her into the garden in the evening to show her the constellations in the summer sky. She will not feel him embrace and kiss her first on the cheek, then on the lips. She would have none of that if he left like that. Stefania looked up at Alex with tears in her eyes and said, "I want you to go back. Or I'll go to that college, too. I want us to get to know each other better." The guy seemed so stunned that he could not utter a word. Then he just took the girl's hand, gently squeezed it with his palms, and pressed it to his chest. Stephanie could feel his heart beating fast, as if he were running a 100-meter race. Then, finally, Alex said, in a tone of tenderness entirely unusual for him, "Stefania, I want to be with you, too. I tried so hard to get you to pay attention to me, but I felt like it was all for nothing. So I chose a college away from our town. So you didn't hate me the whole time?" The girl looked up at the boy in surprise. "I thought you were acting this way because you despise me. I'm so boring. All I do is read books and dream. I don't notice anything or anyone around me." Alex, without taking her hand from his chest, leaned closer to her and, almost touching her ear with his lips, whispered, I never hated you at all. I like you very much. I like you very much. Very much." Stefania felt his cheek touch her cheek. Stefania threw her head back to Alex's face and felt his lips gently touch her cheek first, then slid lower and freeze against her lips without touching them. The girl closed her eyes, and the young man's breathing mingled. Another sign the first kiss connected the young people. The pair of young people stood like that for a long time, enjoying the first sensations of tenderness and attraction. Then, the demon gently embraced Stefania and warmed her, protecting her with his body's warmth from the morning breeze's chill. Everything was clear between them. Thus was their new life, hope, and first love were born. The end. Copyright Misha Quinn, 2023.